Okay, guys. Sorry for the absence last week. But I'm back again. And we are on episode 13. So, sorry. Get right into it here. So I believe we left off last time with Ximing was telling Fang Ju that she's the one that messed this up and now she has to live with the consequences, which she definitely needs to learn that lesson. So we start off in this episode with Xuanren and Yi Jinti. They're just strolling down somewhere and talking about that knife that Fang Ju, or whatever, what they call him, just Ju, made, and that he's in charge of getting it fixed, which we already know. But in the middle of that, I think he calls him the eunuch, I just say he's like his, like that, what do you call, servant, helper, comes and tells Xuanren, once again, aka Donghua, that Captain Bai, or Ju, has found the mysterious lady, which she found herself. No. So, and I still, we already know it's Fang Ju. We already know it's her. And I still can't figure out like how they mistook her for a boy. She's so pretty. But anyway, she walks out, and the look on Yi Jinti's face, can't talk, like surprise. It's kind of like, okay, well, I know I was attracted to her before, and like he's like, what? I'm not sure exactly what he's thinking, but Xuanren is even more in love with her. Sorry guys, allergies. The medicine makes me tired. So Xuanren is even more in love with her, even though she was kind of deceiving him, but she explains why, like, okay, you know, I travel around alone, so I disguise myself as a man, and I didn't want to correct anybody when everybody assumed I was a guy, and I had this mark on my forehead, and I always covered up with makeup because, you know, I stand out, and, you know, it's just safety precautions, and he's like, okay. And he immediately gives her the title of Imperial Lady. Like, he's like, okay, I like you. And the eunuch, though, he's like, well, I know you're supposed to have a background check before you appoint anybody, but he's still like, no background checks. We don't need one. So later in her rooms, I guess after seeing how much he is happy and in love with, like, she's here, Fang Ju is hating this. Like, she's just sitting there thinking, and Ximing comes to visit her like he said he would. He was going to drop in and make sure she's okay. And she's like, you know what? I promise I will never, ever act so spontaneously ever again. Like, I'm not just going to, I'm going to think about it first. This sucks. And Ximing, he's like, well, you know what? Once Donghua wakes up, he's not going to remember any of this. And she was thinking, okay, but I will. I'm going to remember this. And he tells her also, don't go through extreme emotions and don't use your magic, because both of those things are going to increase the backfire. And the longer she stays in the mortal realm, that backfire is just going to happen naturally. So she's got to kind of kick it in the butt here. Go. So they have this lineup of maids that she's supposed to choose her own personal maid, and one of them has a little, like a butterfly birthmark on her neck. And Fang Ju, I guess she was kind of like, oh, that's cool. And so she chooses this one, and when she asks the maid about it, the maid's like, well, I was born with it. I've had it since I was a kid, but I've always had these dreams that I'm a butterfly. And when she wakes up, birthmark is like always warm, and she says her dream is about like her master is punishing her because she did something wrong, and a woman saves her, but she can never see this woman's face, so she doesn't know who it is. But Fanju, she's like, this is that Mufang butterfly from the beginning of the show, the one that she helps, and then Zaihi puts it in a box and throws it in the water, and it's like, same one. Which is pretty interesting. They happen to meet each other here in the mortal realm. It's fate. So, Fanju, she's trying so hard not to fall in love with Zhuan Ren and not to think of him as Dong Hua because he just looks like him. And you can tell, I mean, we already knew from the beginning he was in love with her, but you can tell he's just infatuated with her, like and you can tell what he wants. But yeah, and we get a whole bunch of pickup lines, which she takes as super sweet. And you know what? When you're the person receiving those compliments from somebody you think is you love, like, it's the best thing in the world. And somebody else would be like, nice pickup lines, you know. But like the more I look at you, the more beautiful you get. Yeah, more beautiful than, well, I say Jihang, but it's that Chuan in here now. That's what he knows her as. More beautiful than her, and but Fanju, she gets a cough, and so he has to leave, which he does not want to, but he does. We get to stop by really quick with Chuan, aka Jihang, and her maid Linjiang. She tells her about Ju, and that the emperor has appointed her as the Lady Ju, and Jihang kind of just pretends like, okay, yeah, whatever, we just need to focus on what we're doing here. It's really hard to tell in that scene whether she's really upset about it or if she's just kind of like, oh, well, you know what? I'm just here looking for this Lingli stone anyway. So anyway, we go out, and Fanju, she wanted roasted sweet potatoes, because she's missing a lot of her food from home, and so she makes them herself. She like digs this thing in the ground and like she roasts her own sweet potatoes, and Zhuan Ren actually comes upon her, and he finds her. He's like, well, I can smell these sweet potatoes like all like way over in this other area, and he thinks it's kind of cute that he's like, all these women, all these concubines, they all love these fine foods, and you are eating roasted sweet potatoes that you made. And he actually tries one and he likes it. And she tells him that someone special had made her roasted sweet potatoes before, and it was like the best she had ever tasted. And you can tell he's kind of let down. He's kind of sad. And maybe a little jealous. And he's like, you know, this must have been some person that you remember them because they made you sweet potatoes. Like, they must have been something. He wants to meet them. He's like, I want to meet this guy. And it's like, okay, are you really curious, or you just want to beat him up, you know? But she's like, well, you can't because he's so far away. But in her mind, she's like, but you're so close. This, like, it's you. You're the one that I'm in love with. Like, she's thinking all of this. So she's, once again, not doing very good with not falling in love with him. And, gosh, I'd have a hard time, too. So Jihang and her maid have searched everywhere except for Zhuan Ren's chamber. Jihang is the only one that can do that, like, at least do it safely, and she knows now she has to gain favor with Zhuan Ren. And it's like, ding ding, competition starting. She's gonna start doing her thing and being like, oh, love me instead, so she can get in there and look. Yeah, this will be interesting. Competitions between women is always interesting. So Banju, we learn she is starting to feel the effects of the backfire because she's been in the mortal realm for long enough, and she actually hides it long enough so that Zhuanren doesn't see it. And he goes to see Jiang or Chuan because she was sick and couldn't come see the flowers, and he's all worried. He's like, oh, I've been ignoring her. Oh my gosh, I have to go see her. And Bangju, or not Bangju, Jihang knows, like, she knew he was gonna come if she said something like that, and he does. And he finds this tablet she happens to be working on, and she lies to him, and she's like, oh, it's a memorial for the deceased, and I made it for my mother, and she died just shortly after she gave birth to me. So she's like, which is like, eerily similar to Zhuanren, whose mother died shortly after he was born. A little sus here, But he says, or she says that her father celebrated her birthday with her every year. So it's always been happy, and Zhuanren's like, you know what? He's like, oh, my mom died too, which is like, okay, she already knows. We know she knows. And I'll celebrate your birthday with you this year. And after he leaves, like, her and her maid are just totally smug. I'm like, they need to start high-fiving, just yeah, because they're totally. And then once he leaves, they go to visit the Empress. So Donghua's, well, he calls her mother, even though it's not biological mother. They go to see her, and it's like, okay, like kissing 101, first class, like she's doing it. But on their way to visit the Empress, we get Sang Zhuanying, Zhuanren's older brother, stops them because his maid, or a maid that works for him, I guess, had caught this dove that they sent messages to Nie Chuyin, and he's like, you know what, I know, like, I got your message. So they have to go with him, and they're, because, like, we've been making progress, no need to worry. And they're like, wait, how does he know that? So they go with him, and she's like, okay, I will tell Zhuanren the same thing I'm telling you. I'm just writing family, and I'm telling them that things are okay. And he's like, okay, I'm not dumb. Neither of us are dumb. I know you're doing something. Now I'm up to something. But neither of them will confess first. They're both, like, neither of them will be like, okay, well, I'm doing this. And so before he leaves, he's like, okay, don't act rashly. And I want to be your friend because, it's better to have a friend than an enemy, right? Which is like, ooh. He just, that's a threat if I've ever heard one. Like, really? So, Jiang, she knows he's not a good person. She's like, he's up to something no good when it comes to Zhuanren, and they themselves need to be more careful. And I'm not quite sure if I don't think she would want to hurt Zhuanren. But then again, she's going to steal the Lingbi stone, so I don't know. Maybe she's just worried about themselves. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. So next, Yi Jingqi is disappointed, kind of pissed, really, because none of the blacksmiths in the entire kingdom can make this weapon. They're like, we just don't have the tools for it. Like, it's brilliant. He's like, well, you know what? You need to figure it out. Figure out what you need, because if you can't make it, no one can. You're the best of the best. So figure it out. which they're all kind of like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, okay, well, but it's a magical weapon, so we know why it's so difficult. But then, anyway, so Zhuan is good on his word. He visits Jiang again, and while he's there, she pulls some more tactics on him. She tries to impress him with food from her hometown, which we know is not her hometown. And I don't think he was very impressed with it, personally, because he's not like, oh, that's good. He's just kind of like, yeah, well, that's nice. And while she's at it, she lies about being really good friends with Ju. And that when they first met, it was almost like they were old friends, and she can always go talk to her, and which is like lies. She's gotta be careful. Like, what if he brings this up? Like, she's gonna be like, no. And she just happens to have this musical instrument. I think it's called chin, the big harp type thing. There, just happens to have it there, and she's like, oh well, I'll play it for you. I'm like, wow, this would be like me trying really too hard to get somebody's attention. But just before she is able to play this instrument for him, word comes that Ju has passed out. So he leaves quickly, and she's like, well, I'm coming with you, because she just said they were friends, so she's like, oh, I gotta come with you. And the doctor can't figure out what's wrong with her. He's like, well, everything about her is fine. I can't figure it out, which I guess you can't detect backfire. A mortal can't, is what I'm assuming. I'm assuming it's just something, the magic in them that is being affected. That's just my thought, though. I don't know for sure. So Zhuan Ren, he manages to kind of wake her up, and she's just drowsy, and the first thing she says when her eyes open is Dijun, which is like, no, it's not Dijun, it's not the Emperor. And he's like, what did you just call me? And she's like, no, wait, like, Your Majesty. Like, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just, I don't know what's going on. And he's like, you know what, this is a new place, you've been inside all this time, and you're probably bored. So you rest for a few days, and then I will take you out. He calls them the hunting grounds, but yeah, I guess outside, and we'll do something and get you to feel better. And then Jihang, she's kind of in the background, like, dang it, dang it, this isn't working to my advantage. But she is just having too much trouble, as I said before, and they say this a lot in the episode too, but she's having so much trouble with the fact that it's not Donghua, but she still loves him. And I'm wondering if it's partially because she does associate him with Donghua, but then as a man himself, he is just, well, he's good looking, and he's just, I would like him too, so, but anyway, he's like, you know what, go to sleep, I'll stay with you till you go to sleep, and that's our final scene, is she lays back down and she's going to sleep. So, got a couple of things going on now, a couple plots going on. We got his older brother, we got Jihang, and we got Jihang and Fangzhu are now gonna be, well, Fangzhu's not in a fight for it yet that she knows, but Jihang, yeah, got like a little girl fight that's gonna be going on here, is what I'm assuming, so, yeah. Anyway, that was episode 13. Hey, Pippa. Hi. Do you want to come say hi? Go say hi? No? Okay, my cat's coming to visit. Alright, so, hopefully I won't miss another week. We'll see. But, that was episode 13, and, okay, sorry. So, comment and like and subscribe. Come visit me on my social media. Come and say hello. And in the meantime, I guess that's it. So, I'll see everybody for the next episode.